Guys, today you are going to be motivated, if you don't already have them, to get your gardening gloves on. Now, why do I say that? Because we have Patrice Porter. She is the gardening grandma, master cultivator. She's sowing the seeds of life skills for future generations. She's a dedicated parent support coach as well, teaching the art of growing fresh and nourishing foods and tending to the growth of resilient families. Welcome, Patrice Porter. How are you living in the energy of your legacy now?
Well, thank you, Jody, for having me on your podcast here. I love sharing here and any chance sharing about gardening especially, but I love your idea of living your legacy. Like, how are you doing that? And really it's with that opening the world of gardening to kids, but even taking a step forward back when I had a job that I really loved, working with the kids. It was in what was called the Play and Exploration program. And it was a position where I could see that potential in the kids, nurture it, and watch them blossom. And that's what really warms my heart. That what keeps me going. And when I can make a difference in a child's life, that is very fulfilling to me. And so that's, as I've retired from that position, I still continue to work with the kids, like in my programs. I wrote a book series bringing out the potential of children and other books. But it's that giving of your gifts. I'm very good with the kids. I'm very good at that, nurturing the potential. And as I say, that's what motivates me. That's what keeps me always wanting to produce and try to bring to the kids, like, open new worlds to them, and parents and the families, so that we have strong, resilient families, and because really that youth, they're our future. That sounds like a cliche, but really they are. They bring the future with them.
How do you use this, I guess you call this vehicle of helping the children with nature, and how do you think it affects the parents? Because it reminds me of people that, like, I have a girlfriend, okay, that trains dogs that have problems, right? She always tells me, I'm never training the dogs, I'm training the parents, Jody.
Yeah, but that, well, like I worked with that, but someone asked me another question. It says, like, if you're coaching in that, like I'm focused more on the kids, that's my strength. But really, someone asked me, so is it the kids that have the problems, or is it the parents? And really, it's for me, it's pulling the family unit together. And so, like, I start with the parents, like, having them build a vision for what they want their family to be, like their life to be, and then to share that with their kids, show the kids what's possible, and then pull the families together. They've got their family meetings, and then start a nature-based family project. Because I really find there's such a disconnect these days from nature. with all the devices, and people spend so much time in cyberspace, and often the parents they're kind of frightened to just let their kids go out and explore and free play. And so that's where I bring in the gardening. Like this is a wonderful place where you can have an up close connection with nature, and it can be a terrific bonding experience, so that you can be tending your little piece of earth in the backyard, and it can open up, you know, broader conversations about the broader issues of the earth we live on. And so I encourage that, starting a garden, a family garden. But again, the focus was starting with the kids and getting them going. And I started off by saying, like, what kind of garden would you like to have? And that's for any parent or anybody that wants to start gardening. What is it? What type of garden would you like to have? Because I want it to be a space where you're going to enjoy spending your time in, and that's unique to you. And you're growing the things you want to grow, so that you'll be willing to put that effort in to grow them. And it's really funny, like my grandniece, she says, I want a Halloween garden. And I said, well, okay. Because there's a white lumina pumpkin. They look like ghosts in the pumpkin patch. So we got some of those started. She said, I want sweets. Well, stevia, it's like 10 times sweeter than sugar. So I had a plant, and we got some cuttings, put that in. She said she wanted a black cat. Well, I had a black cat silhouette. But it's that creativeness and creating a space, like if I were to ask you, Jody, what type of garden would you like to have? Like, where would you enjoy spending your time in?
Well, that's a great question, because I have never had my own garden. And whenever I thought of gardens, I have to be very honest with you, I thought about, I don't really want to get my hands all dirty, and I don't want to hurt my back. And I'm not really into being out in 110 degrees here in Houston to pick out weeds. So would you convert me? I think I'm a perfect person for you.
Well, I see, like, you've got plants growing in behind you there, hey?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and do you, like, often people, if they're really busy or anything, or if they're more confined for indoor growing, like starting with some herbs on the windowsill to start livening up your dishes. And that's, like, if you've got a family and you start adding in some fresh herbs, and like, they'll notice the difference. And, you know, like, what did you do to this? You know, it really does make a difference. Or it could be like, I don't know if you've got a balcony or like container gardening. So and you can have a raised garden, so you're not bent over and hurting your back. But you might want more like for an evening garden, like a moon garden.
Wait a minute, what's a moon garden? I never heard of that one.
Yeah.
What's that?
There's certain plants they'll let their scent up in the evening, and like there's evening scented stock, which are white, and you would use the white colors that, you know, will catch the moonlight. It's for gardens that you can enjoy in the evening, and you know, so that you could have a nice cozy, you know, sitting spot out there to enjoy the fresh air, and it's out of the heat of the day. And as I say, like evening scented stock, they put out the scent in the evening. And I believe Datura, I might be wrong there, but I believe it was scented in the evening too. But yeah, like, do a research, evening scented plants, and with the white coloring, they stand out in the darker light. So
and that doesn't sound difficult, you know. It doesn't sound like it's something that would, you know, take up a lot of my time, or, you know, something like that.
Yeah, no, like just have a nice sitting spot to enjoy a tea after your meal or whatever, and even like if people have a more stressful life, going out and tending your garden at the end of the day, it's just like people often find it their happy space. And if you're growing things that you really enjoy, really want to, you'll be willing to put that effort into to grow. Like some people are really into their roses, like or like I really like food gardening. Like for me, it's a garden overflowing with an abundance of fresh produce because it tastes so much better. And things that you can't get in the store, like the different tomatoes that are just, the flavoring is totally different than a store-bought plant. So always having it something unique to you and suited to you. Like you don't want to be out in the heat. You're a busy day. You're concerned about too. I mean, that's a common concern. People often think of gardening as just a chore. And so that's why I always like creating gardens that are unique to you, and especially with the young kids or for anyone if they're first time gardening. And then and another thing, so you don't get overwhelmed with that, if you've got your dream garden and then so it might kind of seem way far away, like if you wanted a garden overflowing with garden goodies like myself, that might seem like that's way off, that would take so much to get there. But you just plan it out as smaller projects that are like stepping stones that are going to get you, take you one step at a time, getting you closer and closer to that dream garden. So if you were concerned about your back and that, you might start off with one container and have it raised containers or on a table or something. And then you can always expand to add some more containers or containers and a big raised garden bed or whatever's going to take you to that dream place. Because I feel very fortunate living right in the forest. And I spend a lot of time on the internet here. But I can just step out the door and I'm in a pine meadow. And, but what that does for my mind frame, that I can get out of cyberspace. I can enjoy the beauty and the wonder of nature. And so if you can create something like that as some little garden spot, or finding some place in nature, as you were talking earlier, and you said there's a park close by to you that you can walk to and go birding.
Yes. Yeah, I love it.
Gardening might not be your thing, but and birding but having that connection with nature and something that really helped me with during like the COVID years and that when you hear all this heavy news and everything, and right at the very beginning, it was funny. I was quite concerned about all this happening, and I went to sleep, and I had a really good sleep, and I woke up in the morning, and I had totally forgotten about it, and it was like, okay, so what is my actual reality right now? Like, what has been fed into me? And with I was taking in all that heavy news from what was happening there, but just stopping and checking in and like, what's my actual reality here? And as I say, when I step out the door and I step into a pine meadow, and it just amazes me, like, this is my backyard. And so for folks, just stopping for a moment and checking in, like, what is your actual reality? Like, here, you've got a lovely place here right there with your plants around you, and being able to appreciate that beauty and wonder, and you had, I talk about gardening with kids. I was talking about it at the beginning, and how I love that. And there was a quote from Robert Brault, and it says, "Why try to explain a miracle to a child when you can just teach them how to garden? Show them how to garden." And it's those miracles of, the growing process, or the beauty and wonder and awe of nature, that you can spark that in yourself again. And working with kids, that can really reawaken that.